Hey, welcome to episode of Chad's Beer Reviews. Just move the mic closer so you can see me. All right, so the other day I did the Paulaner Oktoberfest Marzen. Today we're doing the Paulaner Oktoberfest Bier. Just the regular, looks like a regular golden lager, which it essentially is. So if you didn't see the last episode, there's two different types of Oktoberfest beers. There's the Marzens, which are the copper color ones, like Sam Adams Oktoberfest, and basically any American brewery that makes a beer called Oktoberfest is usually the Marzen style, like those copper, very malty beers. And then, but the actual beer that they have at the actual Oktoberfest in Munich is this style, and it's just called Oktoberfest Bier or Fest Bier. BJCP, it's style 4B, just Fest Bier. Let me bring up the specs here. It says, since 1990, the majority of beer served at Oktoberfest in Munich has been this style. Export beer specifically made for the United States is still mainly the traditional amber style, the Marzen, as are U.S.-produced interpretations. Paulaner first created the golden version in the mid-1970s because they thought the traditional Oktoberfest was too filling, so they developed a lighter, more drinkable, but still malty version that they wanted to be, quote, more poundable, according to the head brewer at Paulaner. But the actual type of beer served at Oktoberfest is set by a Munich city commission, or city committee. Ingredients: majority Pils malt with some Vienna and or Munich malt to increase maltiness. Differences in commercial examples are mostly due to different maltsters and yeast, not major grist differences. Comparison: less intense and less richly toasted than a Marzen, true. More rich, heavy in body than a Helles, with more hop flavor and higher alcohol. Less rich in malt intensity than Maibach. The malt complex is similar to a higher gravity Czech premium pale lager, although without the associated hops. So Czech premium pale lager is Czech Pilsner, like Pilsner or Kel. So they're saying the malt character here is kind of like a Czech Pils, but different hops. So they don't mention which hops. It just says, I would assume it's going to be a noble hop. So, and then it's kind of a long story about this style represents the modern overall impression. A smooth, clean, pale German lager with a moderately strong malty flavor and a light hot character. Definitely balances strength and drinkability with a palate impression finish that encourages drinking. Showcases elegant German malt flavors without becoming too heavy or filling, which is kind of ironic because this is 6% ABV. It's not exactly a session beer. So, I don't know. A lot of people, some people, probably Germans, can put away 6% ABVs, no problem. But some other people, 6% ABV, even in a, what is this, a 333 mil or something like that? It's 11.2 ounces. This is going to be good enough. All right, so let's dive in here. So, it definitely has that traditional, very reminiscent German pale lager aroma. Pils malt. Yeah, Pilsner, but they say they use some other stuff in there. I think a Czech Pilsner is like all Pilsner malt. And it's funny because this bottle, I don't know if you can tell, it's kind of like an olive green or a really light brown. So it actually does have a tiny little bit of skunkiness to it. Can't really get much in the way of hops, which I think is fine. Let me see here. Low to medium low floral, herbal, or spicy hops. The malt should not have a deeply toasted caramel or biscuity quality. Clean lager fermentation character, yeah. It smells like a Spaten or or Munich Helles, something like that. So, as far as appearance, wow, that's crystal clear, and it had about a finger of head there. Maybe we can get some more back here, but yeah, really good looking beer, lovely color. It probably looks like actually it is gold. I think it's about 4 or 5 SRM. So let's dig in here. Cheers. Or Prost, as they say. Yeah, it does remind me of a German Pilsner, but without the intense hoppiness, especially that malt base there. I get a lot of the Pilsner malt. Now that I can tell what Pilsner malt is, I just love that malt character, especially in German and Czech Pilsners, any beer that calls itself Pilsner, any kind of pale lager like this, but when it's like the main what do they call it, the primary malt or base malt, not a specialty malt or anything. Yeah, so just a light, kind of Pilsner malt in there, slight graham cracker. I would not call it like super sweet. I mean, it has like a little bit of like a cracker or bready flavor to it. But it's not like super rich. Like this is like worlds apart from the Copper Marzen. Like those beers are very caramel and toast and everything. This one is just kind of, it's like a stronger Pilsner without the hops. Yeah, and like the hops, I can get them on here, but they're very very subtle, especially compared to German German Pils. Um, just like the little bit of like a noble hop spiciness and very mild bitterness. What's interesting is the mouthfeel on here is like not super crisp. It's actually, it feels like it's like a medium light body, but like low carbonation. It kind of feels, it kind of feels like thick, but not carbonated, if that makes sense. Like it's not super spastic or anything. A lot of the German lagers have almost like champagne effervescence. Not this one. Mouthfeel says should be medium body with smooth, somewhat creamy texture. Okay, yeah, I guess. Medium carbonation, alcohol strength barely noticeable as warming, if at all. I agree. I mean, this is 6% ABV. Slugging this down like it's 4.5 or something like a session beer. I will say it's quite refreshing while it's in the mouth, and it finishes very clean. Like there's no malty. The hops are malts. The aftertaste is very neutral, let's say. The palate itself is pretty neutral. So I mean, yeah, I can see having this beer. It's funny because I had dinner at a German restaurant last night, but I went with Dunkelweizen. But I mean, this would be, well, actually, I mean, of all the German styles, like, and there's a lot of them. I think actual Fest beer is probably like my least favorite. I don't know. Like I'm this or Maibach. I was never a huge fan of Maibach, or Hellesbach, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I mean this is a good beer. I mean it's definitely what you would expect in an actual German Oktoberfest beer that you're gonna get if you go to the tents in Munich. Although I think they canceled it this year. It doesn't say much on the back here. Just the Reinheitsgebot, water, hops, yeast, and malt for nearly 400 years, blah, blah, blah. So, but I mean, like the spec said, they've only been making this beer since the 70s, so it's probably like, going on 50 years old, this style. But yeah, I like it. I mean, if I'm rating this a spec, it's probably going to score super high because this is what the spec's supposed to be, especially considering the brewery. Personal preference, it's fine. I think on Untapped I'll go 3.75. I think it's hard for me to go 4 or higher on this one. I mean, it's good, it's fine. It's a very simple palate, and it kind of gets repetitive quick. But I do like the drinkability on it, and it is quite refreshing. As you can see, I just threw this whole thing back in like not even 5 minutes. Yeah, I actually do kind of want another one of these. It's funny, like now this it warmed up a little, I get like a tiny little bit of caramel or something, some kind of sweetness in there. Might just be, well, I mean, I assume this, it finishes probably quite dry, but it's not bone dry, but it'd be interesting, do this beer and then do a secondary with Brett. That'd be cool. All right, I'm going very long. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys tomorrow. I don't know. All right, thanks for watching.